Who Dey to all the Bengal fans out there. Happy football season to everybody else.
Yes,
Welcome back to
sir.
another episode of the Gridiron Jungle podcast. I'm your host, Rich, joined by my brother Philly Phil, your two favorite Bengals fans.
You know it.
Phil, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. Football is back. It's preseason, but the starters played, so football is back.
It's
And
officially back.
yeah, man. But before we jump into things, I just want to send thoughts and prayers to Maurice Norris, the
Mm-hmm.
Lions DB, who if you didn't catch that game, had a gruesome injury, kind of shades of Damar Hamlin, but real stand up by both organizations. Well, really the players to put a stop to that game. But he seems to be, stable and doing okay. But before we dive into it, I just wanted to send thoughts and prayers to him because it is a violent game. And, while we get excited about football like no other sport, we do want to make sure that we, think about the human aspect as well.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you said that because I had that written down as well. So it's only right. You know, prayers, thoughts to his friends, family, to the organizations. Thanks for doing the right thing. And yeah, that's the one part of the game you wish you could erase.
Man, turn injuries
Teams,
off.
yeah, turn injuries off in the game, but unfortunately, it's going to happen. It is a violent game, like you said. I know a lot of the players, they live with that, saying, "Hey, this is what I love." Injuries are part of it, so
Hmm.
they choose to play, obviously. But we hate to see it as fans, and prayers to a quick recovery for sure. Um, with that being said, even though I guess it's football season once obviously the preseason games start rolling around, but then fantasy start planning for your
Oh yeah.
drafts and all that.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
great time of the year. It's a great time of the year, and we'll really be less than a month. We'll be game one here in Cleveland.
Hmm.
I say here in Cleveland because I live in Cleveland, but and I'll be back down for the Jaguars game at home. It's going to be a fun year. I'm already looking forward to it, and we saw shades of that with the offense. Before we get started, we appreciate all of you for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, and
Yes.
tell a friend. Leave comments. We'll include you in the episode. I will say right now, I messed up. We're going to continue our top 10 list for inside linebackers, but I accidentally deleted my notes. So we're going to rearrange that and put it in a different episode. We'll have another episode while Phil's on vacation next week for you, just talking about top 10 running backs, but we'll figure that out the week after and go from there. In the meantime, um, we did get a couple YouTube comments.
Okay.
One from Nathan22T. Shout out to Nathan22T. Just commenting with the Tiger, the Bengal. Always welcome. Shout out to all the Bengals fans out there.
Yes,
And then
sir.
also Kane6529 commented, damn, I swear we have about 37 Bengals podcasts these days. Laughing emoji. Who they? Yeah, man. This is the best one though. This is the best
Yeah,
one.
just make sure
And
it's in your rotation, man. It might be
yeah, man.
37, but make sure it's in
I
your
was about to
rotation.
say I'm biased, but obviously there's a lot of great Bengals feeds, and I love that because we talked about it last season, man. We grew up in the era where nobody wanted to talk about the Bengals. It wasn't any fun.
Facts.
So
Facts.
to be able to get to a point where multiple people are having these outlets and um, podcasts and discussion points about the team, that's incredible for me, or to me, should I say. So looking forward to listening to everybody. Maybe even do some cross collab if you do have a Bengals pod. We can have some discussions together. So we're looking forward to that. But Phil, we finally had a preseason game,
Yes, sir.
live action against another team, no practice. The Bengals played in Philadelphia this past Thursday. They
Hmm.
took a 34-27 loss, but obviously preseason games don't count. So we're not really worried about it. It's more so about observation. I just want to start by getting your overall thoughts on the game. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, overall thoughts on the game, and I mean, take this how you want, but it really felt like a continuation of last year. You know what I mean? The offense looked spectacular, and the defense definitely left, more to be desired. Special teams was, you know, a little questionable, but obviously, Darren Simmons is dealing with a lot of new bodies, trying to figure out, who's gonna be your special team players, because that group really lost a lot because a lot of those guys come from the back end of the roster, and you're seeing a lot of those depth pieces change for us, in all of the rooms, offensively and defensively that would be involved in that special teams unit. So I think it's going to take a little time, but the encouraging thing was that Evan McPherson seemed to be back on track, but love the pace of the game. The offense first team seems to be in mid-season form, but the defense said they didn't want to show much, and they accomplished that. So definitely still, hoping they turn things around there.
Yeah, man. What are your thoughts on that when they said they didn't want to show much? Like, do you feel that's legit, or are you concerned? Where's your panic level right now when it comes to the defense?
I get it. My panic level is very low. It's no higher or lower than it was going into the game. When you think about no Trey, no Dax, no CTB, that definitely plays a large part. But I think the more time that they get to spend with Al, and Al now having some tape to reflect on with his first unit will definitely, give him some continued coachable points. But I thought Cam Sample's performance was encouraging to see him back after the gruesome injury that he had that cost him all of last year. I thought Shamar flashed. Slayton was
really impressed by the rookies.
Really impressed by the rookies, and even the second year players, Chris Jenkins, Jackson McKinley, McKinley Jackson. I always mess up his name. The president, I'll just call him that. But yeah, really encouraging there. So definitely, something to build on. But anytime you give up 400 yards on defense, I don't care if it's preseason, postseason, regular season, inter squad scrimmage. You don't want to give up 400 yards,
especially the Tanner McKee.
Yeah, Tanner Mahomes.
Yeah, that's what he looks like. You know what I mean? I'm glad you mentioned Chris Jenkins, because I did mean to shout him out last week. I know we talked about TJ Slayton, but Chris Jenkins, somebody I was a big fan of last year. If you remember listening to our episodes, really expected big things from him, and he shows up. He's a gamer, man.
Yeah,
he's a gamer.
And he's healthy.
Yep. He's healthy. That's a big deal. He's gonna make a big impact for us, in my opinion. In that run defense, and even get some pressure on the quarterback, man. NFL legacy, his dad played, and I just like his overall style and the way he goes about the game. So I'm really looking forward to that as we shore up our D line, because we did not go against their ones as far as the O line or even the running back, quarterback. So some of those holes that Will Shipley had to run through were a little bit concerning, but I don't know where the intensity is right now. I won't say intensity. That's maybe not the right word, but I don't know where the actual urgency is in regard to, hey, we got to stop this play. It's more so getting looks. That's what preseason is for, right? Preseason is for making mistakes, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, trying your trick plays out, trying different schemes and coverages, moving different guys in different spaces to see what they can do. It's a more advanced practice. You want everybody to take it seriously, which they did. But also it is concerning that you're giving up that many yards, especially coming off of last year, and especially coming off of what I mentioned last year, just talking about the pride that the defense has. I think one of the strong points for the defense during camp was one of the weaker points during the game, which was the secondary. I don't know what it was. Now, there was for example, Johnny Wilson, who's a tall dude, man. Johnny Wilson, 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
He had a catch on Fig on the left sideline. Where Fig, it was great defense. He was right there. It's just you can't teach 6'6". You can't coach against that.
Right.
He just kind of plucked it over his head. We're so used to seeing that with T doing it against other teams. You could tell Fig was disappointed, man. But I love the fire in Fig, and obviously no CTB playing. So we had a little bit of different looks, and I think it's something we'll get cleaned up. I'm not panicked at all. I do want to know what's going on with, and this is something we'll be asking every single week. What's going on with Trey? Is that deal going to get done? He was there. Yeah, he's there. He's traveling.
Involved. He was, I saw him talking to the defense after every series, so he doesn't seem to be a distraction, so.
Yeah. It's odd that mom is the word in regard to the contract talks.
Yeah.
You just want to hear something. They're leading in the right direction. We're this close. We're 95% there. something like that. I want to know. I know the last update we had was the guaranteed money is far apart. But for him to show up to camp, I don't imagine he going. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna piggyback off to whatever you finish your thought there.
No, I was just gonna say I can't imagine him sitting out week 1.
Yeah.
It makes me worried each time that same thing with Jamar, but Jamar is a little bit different. Trey is just grossly underpaid.
Yeah.
We see that going on. I know we just talked about our interior defensive lineman. We see that going on in Pittsburgh right now, where Cam Hayward isn't a full participant because I believe he's the 36th ranked, 36th highest paid defensive lineman, 18th highest paid interior defensive tackle. If I was looking at it correctly, which is insane coming off of first pro. I mean, NFL first team All Pro. Man, I can't talk today.
Yeah.
Season, even at his age, hey, I want to raise.
Yeah,
Trey, understandably so. So we'll see where we get.
And you can't pay Watt all that money and not pay Cam Hayward. That's just insane.
Nah, man.
That's just insane.
Not saying people pocket watching, but it's just principle. Like, he did it all by himself. And we talked about Watt slowed down heavily at the end of last season. I don't know if it was injuries or what. But he was pretty much non-existent in our Week 18 game and a couple other games prior. Not that I follow that team up there. Right. But I do pay attention to football all throughout the league, and I just know he wasn't as dominant at the end of the season as he was at the beginning compared to Trey, who had multiple sacks in that Pittsburgh game where we were still fighting for hope before Kansas City just said, I don't want to play them guys, and we're going to rest our starters against Denver. That's a whole another subject for another time. While we're on the defense, we'll just go ahead and start there. Shamar Stewart, maybe against Washington, we see him with the ones. What do you think?
I definitely think, I know it was one game. I know he's only had 7 practices or so officially, but to me, he looks like one of the best 4 defensive linemen. I definitely think he should get run as a starter. I don't care what side it's on, whether it's the left side or the right side. I know he played, I think, pretty much all the right side in the preseason game, but had a tackle for loss, had a pressure. He just was disruptive. He definitely, you can see why he has the nickname or why he earned the nickname the Menace, because he, his presence was definitely felt. And outside of Trey Hendrickson, there's no defensive lineman on our squad that you could say that about, that really jumped off the screen and made an impact. So that alone, Shamar should be out there getting some run with the ones. I think he had like 18 snaps. So definitely want to see him get some more tick out there.
Let me ask you, who do you want to see on that opposite end? You want to see Osai? You want to see Miles Murphy? Who do you want to see?
Yeah, if we're taking Trey out of the equation, which we are going into this preseason game, I think it should be Osai. I think Osai is way more impactful than Miles Murphy, although Miles Murphy has looked good in camp. And he had a solid game too. He had a hurry, he had a tackle. Or a pressure, 2 assisted tackles, 2 stops. So Miles Murphy definitely had a solid showing. But even though Osai's on a 1-year deal, I'm all about putting the best guys out there. And I definitely think Osai is more impactful and a little more versatile because he's willing to play inside, unlike Miles Murphy. So if you can get a NASCAR package out there with Trey, Shamar, Osai, and BJ Hill, or if you can convince Miles Murphy to kick inside, that can be pretty scary in those obvious pass down situations. So to answer your question, I would like it to be Osai, but I understand them wanting to continue to give Murphy looks. So
100%, I'm with you there. We just got to start getting the guys, and the Washington game is going to be a big one.
Yeah,
because that can't be a filling out game. That has to be. We got to treat this like it's live.
It can't look like the Washington game looked last year when they came here.
It can't look like that. And who knows who they're going to play? The second preseason game is usually when people play their starters and get some real live action because nobody really plays that third game.
Yep.
That's usually for guys trying to make the team. But 432 yards, 300 in the air, 132 rushing. That's just not going to get it done. And
not at all.
Yeah, I don't know if Al's going to switch things up and maybe show a little bit more look. I understand you don't want to give it all away, especially with that week 1 game coming up. But it's football, man. Especially against division teams. At some point, everybody's going to know what you do. Everybody's gonna know what you do, and you have to be able to adapt to it and make
and
plays.
execute. Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. I was going back to the rookies. I was really pleased with both of our linebackers.
Yep.
Our rookie linebackers, should I say?
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them played extremely well. I know. My apologies. Barry Carter. I know Barry Carter had a sack
Mm-hmm.
in the game, and we're not really talking about him as much, the same as we're talking about Demetrius Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But he is looking good. If we put him with Logan Wilson, we're faster. We got some coverage going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, the D line, I think that we do have enough to go ahead and get some push when needed with Slayton and Jenkins. And once we get the edge straightened out, which I think will be perfectly fine once Trey gets back, but that's going to make things a lot easier. Obviously, getting pressure on the quarterback is the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Disrupting the run game, all of that. Like I said, I was just disappointed with some of the holes that were there for Will Shipley. But I'm expecting a much better performance. Let's put it like that. I think they're going to look at the film and they're going to go ahead and tighten things up.
And I know you spoke on Shipley and his success, but if you take out that, I think it was a 38-yard run that he had very early in the game where it seemed like Slayton was out of position. I don't know if it was a miscommunication or if he just got bullied. I really don't know what happened because I don't know what the call was there. But if you take away that play, Shipley's other 6 carries only went for 10 yards. So they definitely tightened up in regards to him. But Powell, Dillon, they both look pretty good. I forget the other running back's name, Robinson, but he didn't really do too much. But you definitely don't want to see, those big chunk plays, those 38, 40-yard runs that Shipley had. But, I think those are things that can be corrected. So, I am overall encouraged by the defensive line play, especially again when you think about somebody like Trey not being in there. But this was against backups. This was against the second unit. So, if it wasn't Philly, then you probably had that panic meter up a little higher. But, a lot of Philly's second teamers could be starters elsewhere. So
that's the thing, man. McKinley Jackson had 3 tackles for loss. I didn't mention him as far as his overall performance. So we'll be fine. I think so. I think we'll be fine.
Now, that secondary, the secondary was definitely rough. I thought DJ Turner was the best corner out there. And if you've listened, I don't like DJ Turner. So that's definitely a little worrisome. You talked about Newton being there on that one play and just couldn't get the play. That's what always happens to Turner. He was targeted twice and gave up 2 catches. He's always there, but just never makes the play. So, I would like to see. I've been saying it since the offseason began. I would love to see a veteran corner and or a veteran safety added to that room. Geno Stone only played 4 plays. I don't know if he got hurt. I don't know if he was tight. I don't know what happened there, but
who's still available right now?
Justin Simmons. That's who I want. He openly said he wants to play for us. So. He ran with Jesse Bates last year in Atlanta. He was, extremely good and probably a, comparison of a Ring of Honor player for Denver his entire career. So I definitely think that would be a good veteran to add that won't cost you much. So I think it's better to get those guys in camp sooner rather than later where you're trying to play catch up. So I don't know. I don't know if they're waiting for cut downs. I really don't know what the logic or what the theory is there, but they need to do something in that room because if something happens to Battle or Geno, all you have is Dejon Anthony and Tyson Anderson. And I don't feel good about that.
That's fair. I don't know if you have anything else to say about the defense. I'm going to pivot to special teams real quick, just briefly. Sure. Evan McPherson, you mentioned him earlier, 2 for 2, a long of 51. That makes me feel good. He's been having a great camp. Last year wasn't so good for Evan, but to have a long of 51, which isn't a short field goal, obviously. 3 for 3 on extra points, looking like he's in form and ready for the season. Punt game, or the return game, should I say, Jermaine Burton had a 32-yard return that set up one of those Evan McPherson field goals. You also have Isaiah Williams had 2 returns for an average of 26.5 yards per return. I'll take that. Gary Brightwell had 3 returns with an average of 31. A lot of these guys, we had Burton, of course, 2 for 21. We had got a lot of guys that are going to make this team based off special teams, whether it's in the return game or not. And I'm pretty pleased with what we had. There were really no mistakes overall. So I can't really. Hold on, what am I missing? My bad.
The 3 special team penalties. You know, DJ Ivy, I think, had the offside that gave him another chance for that field goal. You know, and then I think the McKinley Jackson penalty where he hit the center, I think that caused them to get a first down and ended up scoring on that drive versus it being the field goal. So, you know, an extra 4 points, extra 3 points. So, you know, that's the difference in that being a tie game, potentially being an overtime game. You know, just speaking like if this were a regular season game, you don't want to see 3 penalties on special teams. So definitely some things to clean up there. And, you know, coming from Ivy and John Meta, you know, those are 2 guys that are always on special teams. So definitely hate to see that there. McKinley Jackson, I think he's kind of newer to special teams, but you got to know you can't hit the center in that instance. So that's my only gripe, you know, and that just comes down to, you know, mental mistakes there. And you gotta limit those.
Yeah, you learn that in Pee Wee football. Yeah. Great call. Thanks for correcting me on that because they did have those penalties. We had 8 penalties total. Still fewer than the Eagles who had 10, but the Eagles played their game in the trenches, just kind of methodical with it. Like you said, a lot of their players could be, or second teamers could be starters. The offense, though, I guess we'll end it on a high note.
Yes, sir.
Similar to last year. I even said this last week. Last year, Jamar was out. I forget who we played in that preseason game. It was at home. Joe came down, first drive, like clockwork, touchdown to T. Everything looked good. Same type of energy this year, man. And it really makes me think that we could be looking at like an historical offense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I say historical, I mean, you look at what they did last year, but I'm talking about
whatever
07 Patriots.
Yeah.
2020, what was that? 2012, 2013 Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
That Rams team, greatest show on turf. Yeah, with Peyton when he went crazy. Greatest show on turf, Rams teams. Like, I just think that this offense is high level, man. It just came out. Even Chase Brown, not even Chase Brown, but Chase Brown, just the pop and the explosion that he had made me feel like, okay, then maybe he does feel the young fella trying to take some of these reps. Like, nah, you ain't there yet. You ain't there yet. I do like Todd Brooks. He was actually rated the second highest pass blocker in the game.
Who was that?
Orlando Brown, Todd Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was known for. That was kind of his calling card coming out of college, on top of just being a big bruising. Like, you're gonna feel the impact once he hits you, and that's what you want from a running back. I want to hit you more than you want to hit me. Because when it gets late in those games, you know, that stuff matters. We obviously talked about our well, you guys haven't heard the episode yet, but our top 10 running backs and certain people who kind of bring that mold. But the running game was impressive. I wasn't mad at it at all. Especially in the passing game. That's another thing to look at. Chase Brown caught some balls.
Yeah. 3,
you know what I mean?
I think, for like 25 yards, I believe. So another 8 yards of pop.
Yeah, 5 carries for 23 yards at a 4.6 average, and then he had another 3 for 25 on 3 targets. So Joe's comfortable with him being a safety outlet. You got to think Mike Gesicki and Noah Fant did not play. Tanner Hudson caught a couple touchdowns.
He looked good.
He did look good. It's funny because every time I see Tanner Hudson, I think of the New England game.
The fumble.
So I still get a little upset for him. Yeah. But it looks like he's moved on from that. Obviously, that was last year, a whole year ago, week 1. But 6 catches, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns off 8 targets. You texted me and said, hey, man, the league on drug test Jamar because he's just too good.
He is, man.
It looks like he's in midseason form. 4 catches, 77 yards. That catch on the left sideline was ridiculous.
It was just like that play against Dallas, you know, last season. Literally the same play.
Not the touchdown. Not the touchdown.
Oh, not the touchdown. Gotcha.
Not the touchdown. I'm talking about the catch where he should no way any human shouldn't have got both feet down. That play.
Yeah. I watched it like 5 times and I'm like, did he really get in? Like, how? You know, I don't know. That was crazy. Crazy play.
Nothing for T. He had 1 target, 0 catches, 0 receptions. Once again, it doesn't really matter in preseason to me. We know T and what he can do. But one of the people I was really happy to see, man, Charlie Jones. Charlie
Yeah.
Jones, man. We talked about Charlie. 3 catches, 41 yards off 6 targets. Looks healthy. Got some run in with the ones. So that might answer some of the questions that we had about what wide receiver is going to stay.
Make the team?
Yeah, if they're keeping 6, they're making things pretty interesting for us. And I like that Charlie Jones showed up, and we know what he can do when he's good in the return game. So, were you surprised that he didn't have any returns or wasn't in the return game? Do you think that's more so to protect his health, or is that going to be the plan moving forward? Just having Burton as the main guy.
That's a good question, and it could be a situation where they planned for Charlie not to return in this game, to just focus on receiver, and maybe he's going to be the primary returner in the Washington game. I don't know if there was like a method to the madness there, but I mean, what do we have? 3 punt returns on the game and 6 kick returns total. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting, but I think a lot of it will depend upon how the receiver room shakes out. I think will kind of factor into that return. Who is the returner? Because you got to think about Isaiah Williams as well in that conversation also. So I don't know. Maybe even they put Brooks in there. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see who becomes the guy, because that is a very important role. So very interested to see how that shakes out. But that's also you muff a couple punts, a couple kicks. That's a good way to get cut as well. So a lot of guys are kind of, I don't want to say fearful, but kind of shy away from that returner role. So it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting.
Yeah. 7 total kickoff returns and 2 punt returns. Brightwell had 3, and Burton and Isaiah Williams had 2 apiece.
Okay.
I don't know if your number 4 jersey came in yet. Desmond Ritter.
Nah.
I didn't. It ain't coming yet.
Nah.
Maybe,
It's still
be there by week 1.
Nah, it still hasn't been ordered. Won't be ordered. Nah.
It hasn't been ordered at all. Okay, don't worry about it. I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you. Don't worry.
You see. Buckeyes over here, baby.
Desmond Ritter is 7 for 16. So obviously the accuracy, you want a little bit more there. Throwing less than 50% is not good, but he did have 91 yards on the touchdown, including in impressive drives at the end of the game. It's the end of a preseason game. People are kind of rushing. It was 3 minutes, 92 yards. So going 92 yards in 3 minutes kind of lets you know what kind of time it is. That's where Tanner Hudson caught his second touchdown pass, but he also had a nice pass to Mays for 48 yards on the deep right side of the field. Another 21 yard pass to Hudson, and then a 12-yard touchdown to him. Jake Browning, the backup, I guess I'm just going to ask you, how do you feel about our backup quarterback situation? Jake Browning was 6 for 14, 62 yards and an interception. Now, obviously, a couple years ago when Joe got hurt, he was very serviceable.
Yeah.
How do you feel about our backup quarterback situation? Are you okay with it, knowing that we had Joe, or would you like a little bit more security?
Honestly, I can't think of a good preseason game that Jake Browning has had. He stunk. I'll be honest. I thought Ritter outplayed him. That's not to say that Ritter. I don't even know if there's a battle really between quarterback 2 and 3. But
I don't think so. I think Browning's quarterback 2.
I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I'm not gonna say it's impossible to find a backup that can operate the way that Burrow operates. So I think you see the offense trying to stay true to who they are and run the style of offense that we run with Burrow with Browning, and that's just kind of unrealistic. So I would like to really see them draft a backup quarterback that obviously isn't going to be Joe, but has more of those qualities that can, run that same offense. Everybody's not a practice player. Tim Tebow infamously stunk in practice, but every time game time rolled around, he balled. So, I'm not necessarily worried about Jake Browning, but he did not look good, and he didn't help his the back end receivers that are vying for position. So, you know, a lot of people talked about that drop that Isaiah Williams had that was like 3 feet above his head. Like, that's not on him. You can't hold that against him. So yeah, Charlie Jones looked better because he actually had good balls thrown to him. So, you know, a lot of that, you know, factors in there. But to answer your question, I don't really feel great about the backup quarterback position, but hopefully it is something we have to, you know, worry about. So, you know, it could
Yeah,
be a situation like Indy where you don't know who your QB1 is. So, you know, that that is much more worrisome than, you know, worrying about QB2, in my opinion.
I'm not even. I don't even have any comment on what's going on in Indy, man. My goodness. Um, yeah, I'm not trying to. There was a lot of, you know, especially in some group messages that we're a part of. There's a lot of overreactions
Mhm.
across the league.
Yeah.
Who's overhyped? Who's overrated? Week 1 of preseason. I'm not worried about that yet. So we'll see what happens in this Monday night game, August 18th. So next week there will be no game, and then Monday night actually, the Bengals will be playing the Washington Commanders on ESPN. So good old Monday Night
Mhm.
Football. Expect for Joe and the gang to come out, do what they did again. Maybe some more reps. What are you thinking? How long do you think the starters will play in that second game?
Yeah, I mean the starters played a full quarter this game, so I would expect to see them play into the second quarter. Offense had 2 drives. I would maybe think they get double that, maybe 4 drives.
4 drives
Yeah,
total.
yeah, I could definitely see that. I do expect them to play more. I don't know how much more, but I expect them to see them play more. Um, Definitely, you know, I think you got to figure out. I think they need to play more because, you know, if you're ready to shift to talk about the offensive line play, I thought the right guard position was terrible. Lucas Patrick to me didn't. I mean, granted, I mean, he only gave up 1 pressure, but Lucas Patrick didn't look good to me. Cody Ford, I think, gave up the only sack in the game. You know, so for
Mm-hmm.
one of those guys to be protecting Joe, playing that right guard spot, it's definitely worrisome. You know, I thought Volson, although he played most of his time on the left side in the game, he did have some snaps at right guard as well. I thought he looked better than Patrick and Ford. Granted, it was later in the game, but that tells you, like, go get a guard. There's 3 guys on the street right now that I can think of off the top of my head that would be better than any option we have at right guard. It just doesn't make sense that they're not here in camp at least competing for you to have the best 5 guys out there on the offensive line. Like, we saw how important that was in our Super Bowl run. Like, you can't just keep on putting that much on Joe because he's good against the press. Like, we don't need to, like, manufacture any more pressure than is already being generated. So that's definitely a little frustrating and kind of worrisome there. But everywhere else I thought was pretty solid. Mims didn't look the best, but he's adjusting to the hand situation. But I do think the backup right tackle, Devin Cochran, I thought he played really great. Granted, it was later in the game as well, but definitely still worried about that starting right guard position and really the depth at that position as well. So I don't know.
What did you think about the O line, the other 4 spots?
The other
I
four
know you
spots, I
mentioned. I
mean,
know you mentioned Mims, but like
yeah, I thought
everything else,
Orlando looked great. I thought
yeah,
Fairchild, let me speak on Fairchild since that's another rookie. I thought Fairchild was great in both the run game and the pass game. Granted, you know, it was 2 drives, but he looked good. It wasn't up and
great.
down. It was up, you know. So I that was definitely encouraging. I thought Brown, Fairchild, and Mims, you know, looked like I thought they looked the best as far as, you know, those starters there. So I don't really have concerns there, but definitely concerned about that right guard position as I've had,
Yeah, we've been talking about that for
you know, since Joe has
yeah,
been here. So
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, same way. I was actually pretty impressed with the starting unit, minus at right guard. I'd rather have 1 weak link versus 3 that we've
yeah,
had in the past.
yeah.
Still not happy with it. We got to get it cleaned up. But for
Hmm.
the moment, Joe didn't get touched. 9 for 10. We didn't even talk about Joe's stats.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he was 9 for 10, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looked like he was just in rare form, and ready to get this season started and underway. I think I think they know, especially the offense.
Mm-hmm.
that they left a lot on the table, and they're going to do
Mm-hmm.
everything they can to make sure that if they have to carry it, then they're going to carry it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think there is. I don't think they're as concerned about the pressure or the lack of thereof from the defense.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go ahead and say, "Hey, we'll put it on our back. We're good with that."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the joke's been Bengals going to give up 80 points a game. Well, I think Joe's cool scoring 81. And that's what we're
Yeah.
going to do. It's not ideal, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Can you win a Super Bowl like that?
Right.
Likely not. But once again, I'm not that concerned about the defense just yet. I need to
Yeah.
see multiple games starting out. I need to go to Cleveland and see Cleveland put up 500 yards. I need Jacksonville to put up 500 yards before I start getting really concerned.
Right.
But I'm the most confident in our offense I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
At probably any point of being a Bengals fan.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
I can
piggybacking on what you said earlier about the offense, you talked about that Broncos team, that Patriots team. If we're talking modern era, that Broncos team averaged 37.9 points per game in that 2013 season. So
they were stupid. They were ridiculous.
I want to see the Bengals average 38 this season. That's what I want to see. So I don't care what the defense does. I want to see the offense break that record. I want to see 38 points per game. That's 5 tutties at least.
Yeah. Only thing that's gonna stop us is ourselves, offensive mental errors.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing in my opinion, because every position's loaded, minus a couple of little questions on the offensive line, and we weren't even in full strength. Now, granted, the Eagles weren't either,
Yeah.
so like I said, we're not gonna overreact. But anytime you see number 9 go out there and lead a drive, 2 of them for that matter, that end in touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
you're happy with that result. Because
Yeah.
if that wasn't the case and he looked bad and the offense looked bad, then we'd be having a different conversation.
For
Not just
sure.
here, but nationally. We have a lot of national conversation about that as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. I'll take it, man. 34-27. It's pretty much the end of the end. Do you have anything else that you want to touch on?
No, I'm just I'm excited to see the kind of how things look in this next preseason game, what the depth chart change is going to look like, if they make any early cuts, because obviously they just have the one cut down date versus kind of that tiered, cut down that they used to have in years past.
Do you miss the tiered cut downs, or do you like
I
the one
do,
cut?
because one, I felt like it kind of, it was like Grant, I'm no artist, but you could see the formation of the final picture. You could kind of see it all come together and kind of see roles develop throughout the preseason. And it also gave guys chances to catch on. Maybe there was somebody we was targeting on another team, and now we can pick them up and bring them into camp and get them in a preseason game to see how they fit and that sort of thing. So I do miss that aspect of it, especially when preseason is already cut down from 4 games to 3 games. It's just a lot of decisions to be made in such a condensed time, and figuring out who gets what snaps, and every team's, situation is different. Some people are figuring out starting battle. Some people are figuring out the back end of their room. Some people are doing both. So it's definitely, challenging and really a juggling act for all teams. So
Absolutely, man. With that being said, that's pretty much it for us. Just wanted to talk about the game 1 against the Eagles.
yes, sir.
Just some reactions. Like I said, nothing that's going to be over the top, nothing too crazy. We'll see what happens Monday night on the 18th. We'll be back with another episode then. Just an FYI, Phil's on vacation next week. I've said it in the next episode we drop. We've already recorded what we're going to release next week, but happy birthday to the 2.0 twins.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
It kind of works out perfectly because there won't be a game next week.
Mm-hmm.
So we went ahead and we're going to release our top 10 running backs heading into the 2025 season. Then we'll be back probably the 19th, that Tuesday after the Washington game, to go over that, kind of what we observed. That's going to be the most intense, serious conversation we probably need to have in preseason before we talk about who's going to make the roster, position battles, and then get ready for week 1. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back next week with a mini episode, and then back the week after talking about more Bengals football overall. With that being said, we appreciate all of you. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and always remember, who they?
Who they?